Hello my darlings, today on my channel we are going to be creating a jewelry carousel with enough space to hold 12 of your finest earrings, 4 chains, bracelets galore, and a few of your beautiful rings. Stay tuned. For this project, you will need 4 of these organizers with lids. You will need 1 pack of these painting hanging tools. You will need a circular mirror, 2 of these decorative cake trays. You will need a few swatches of our leftover non-stick cabinet liners from our last 2 projects. I'm thinking about using these acrylic gems, I'm not sure yet. You will also need a Lazy Susan mechanism of your choice, a ring holder, I got mine from the Hobby Lobby, of course these flower embellishments, and last but not least, your handy dandy tools. Let's get crafting. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to take off and remove the lid. We're not going to use the lids at all. Save it. Maybe we can find something to do with it at a later time. But the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to embellish each of our shelves with these flower embellishments and our skid, or rather cabinet liners. Now as you can see, I have already pre-measured that bling wrap is going to take 4 by 3 to fit on the back of those, and I have already cut my shelf liners into the little rectangular shapes that I need. And so all we're going to do now to make sure that our shelves are ready to receive our beautiful jewelry is I am going to, with my E6000 glue and my hot glue gun, just put down some dots of glue right in the middle of the back of these flowers, and then double up with my hot glue gun to make sure that, as usual, it is going to adhere very quickly so that we can continue working. But as that E6000 glue dries over time, it will be a permanent fix. So just going in now, laying it very carefully, making sure not to have the back of it touch so that it's all tangled up, and taking my popsicle stick to ensure that I'm not burning myself, to just tap down on those flowers to make sure that they are adhesed to that glass. And then I'm going to take my cabinet liner, and I'm going to go in with some E6000 glue and some hot glue gun in similar fashion, and I'm going to lay that cabinet liner down. Now in other videos I have said to you that I did not like using the E6000 glue with acrylic. However, I meant when that E6000 glue is going to be contained in something. And so since these shelves are going to remain open and we're not going to be closing them in, there is not going to be any cloudiness with this project. And so once I have placed that liner down, what I'm going to do is, with my popsicle stick, just go in and make sure that it is adhered properly to that shelf. And then here you have what it's going to look like, and I'm going to continue this with the rest of this shelf and the other 3 shelves. Now that our shelves are fully decorated, as you can see, what I'm going to do now is just set them to the side so that they can continue drying. And the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to adhere our cake plate to our turntable. Now I have chosen to use this just to elevate this project a little bit. If you want to continue to make this a Dollar Tree DIY, please feel free to go in with your 2 cake pans and your marbles and continue the process that way. But for my purpose today, what I'm going to do is use this Lazy Susan mechanism that I got from Amazon, and I'll be sure to link that in the description box below. And I'm going to put down my E6000 glue right in the middle of that mechanism, nowhere else, with my hot glue gun, and I'm going to attach it to my cake plate, which is going to be done very easily because these two items have similar and overlapping circles. I'm going to set this to dry and then I'll be back. Now that our cake tray has been affixed to our Lazy Susan, what we're going to do now is we are going to find our placement for our shelves. And what I'm going to do here is place two of them back to back, which this column is going to be the load bearing column for our entire project. And then with the other two shelves, what I'm going to do is affix them to the left and the right of that middle column. And so now that I have found my place, what I'm going to do is take them off, and I'm simply going to go in with my E6000 glue and my hot glue gun to affix those two, or that middle column, together. And so I'm going in with a generous amount because those two containers don't fit snugly together, like all the way back and back is what I'm trying to say. And so I'm just making sure I'm putting down enough glue so that where those two containers do not meet, at least there will be a cushion of glue to keep them stuck together. And so now I'm repeating the process with my E6000 glue, with my hot glue gun, and I'm putting down a generous amount of that glue for the reasons I just shared with you. Now I'm going to stick those two together, making sure I'm lining up edge to edge and corner to corner. And once I have done that, what I'm going to do is lay it on its face, one of the units on its face, and then I'm going to continue pressing down to make sure that I'm getting the seal that I need. And I'm going to put my tape measure on it just to keep a little pressure on those shelves. With the tape measure there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my placement for my two shelves that are going to be on the left and on the right of that middle column, and I'm going to follow the same process like I did with the first two shelves. A generous amount of E6000 glue with a generous amount of that hot glue gun, and then I'm going to find my placement and set it on the middle columns. Once I have placed my glue down, again I'm going to find my placement, and since we're not going corner to corner on this, I'm just going to make sure that the top of that shelf matches the top of the middle column and the bottom of that shelf matches the bottom of the middle column. I'm going to repeat the process with the last shelf that we have to glue on to our middle column, and while I'm doing that, I have turned it, of course, over on its face, and I'm allowing gravity to do the job in getting that shelf to adhere to that middle column. Again, generous amount of E6000 glue followed by a generous amount of hot glue, and then we are going to adhere that shelf to that middle column, and I'm going to weight it down for a while to make sure that glue can set up and dry as needed. Make sure when you are putting the shelf down, you are pressing down to make sure that you are gaining the contact where you need it to be. All right, top of that shelf to the top of the middle column, bottom of that shelf to the bottom of the middle column. We are going to set them to dry, and I will be right back. Now that we have stuck all of our shelves together, we can see our project coming together. Now what we're going to have to do is glue those shelves down to that cake stand. And to do this, E6000 glue, hot glue gun. But if you notice, there is a ledge at the bottom of those shelves, and the camera really doesn't do it justice. If you look carefully, you can see it. So what I'm doing is I'm making sure to put some glue on those ledges, because that is going to be my first point of contact. So I'm doing the same thing with my hot glue, making sure to put that hot glue on those ledges so that when I flip this or these shelves over, I will be able to get a nice secure fix on this plate. Now I am eyeballing it to make sure that I am centering it and placing it where I want it to be. And luckily the hot glue gun is giving me a little bit of give, so that's good. So I'm just eyeballing it, going around to make sure that it is centered, and I realized that the ball bearings are giving me a little bit of help in securing these shelves where I need them to be. Now that I have placed my shelves down where I need them to be, I'm going to weight this down, not a little, but not too much, because it is really not necessary. And I'm going to continue with our project. Now, what we're going to do now is we are going to top off this project with another one of those cake stands. And to do this, again, just kind of eyeballing my center, seeing where I will want to place this. And like I said previously, why I like these trays as well as that Lazy Susan mechanism is because they are acrylic, they're see-through, and so it is very easy to gauge where you want to place them. And so turning that cake tray over and putting my E6000 glue on the middle circle as well as the second circle out on the ledge, similar to what we just did. The ledge is going to be that first point of contact, and then following up with my hot glue gun in the very same manner to ensure that when we turn it over and we set it down, we will be able to continue working. And so once I have put down generous amounts of glue, I'm going to turn it over, find my center, and once I'm happy with where this is placed, making a minor adjustment, and when I'm happy with it, then I will press down to ensure that that is where it's going to stay. So my darlings, I'm going to ask for forgiveness in advance for this. I really should have moved my camera and placed it on the table while I was doing this. And I thought that you guys would have been able to see what I was doing, but now that I'm looking at the footage, I realize that you can't. But what I'm doing now is I'm taking hooks from that Dollar Tree picture hanging kit, and what I'm doing is I am making a place for us to hang our chains. And to do this, I turned the entire carousel upside down to allow gravity to help me with this, and I have put down a bead of hot glue to get that hook to stand up. Once that hot glue has dried with that hook standing up, I'm now taking my hot glue gun and basically smothering the top of that hook with hot glue to make almost like a bed for it or a chair for it, so that once that glue sets up and dries, that hook is going to be stationary and not move. All right, so here you can see what the top of this tray now looks like with all of that hot glue. And as I promised, those hooks are going nowhere. As a matter of fact, I'm actually turning the carousel just by holding on to the hooks. The bad thing now is that we have all of this glue showing through the top of our tray. And so to cover this, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of those flower embellishments and just go around that second, well, 1, 2, 3 circle of that tray on top. And then on the bottom, to make sure that we have a cohesive look, I'm going to continue that pattern below. All right, so here you have our flower embellishments. What I did was I placed them on top on that third circle out from the middle, and then I placed them on the bottom from the fourth circle out from the middle to ensure a cohesive look. And now what we're gonna do with the final part of this project is we are gonna lay that mirror down to cover up that rotating mechanism as well as our shelves. Now usually when I work with Dollar Tree mirrors, I usually take the felt off so that I can have those mirrors sit flush with whatever it is I am gluing them to. But for this project, I am going to leave the felt on because what the felt does is give me just a little bit of elevation, which gives this project another dimension of luxury. And so just going in with my E6000 glue and my hot glue gun on those 3 points only, I am now gluing that mirror to the middle of the top of that cake tray, and I'm centering it to ensure that it is seamless from top to bottom. Once I have found my center, what I'm going to do now is with our piece de resistance, using my little ring tray that I got from the Dollar Tree, I am going to find the center of that mirror, decide where I want to have this laid, and then I'm going to, with my E6000 glue and my hot glue gun, affix that tray to my mirror. And if you see on the bottom of this, the surface area on which I can put the glue down is so small that I'm just using really the shape of a penny, no more than that, with my E6000 glue and then my hot glue gun on top of that. And then I'm gonna find my center and I'm going to place that tray right in the middle of that mirror to top off our project. Making a few adjustments. Luckily the mirror has not set yet, so I can still play with it a little bit. But once I have, I will clean up our project, the final product, and I will come back to show you what that looks like. Well, here you have it, ladies and gentlemen, our jewelry carousel with room enough to hold 12 pairs of earrings, 4 chains, bangles and bracelets galore, and a few of your most precious rings. Isn't it beautiful? Of course, to top it all off, this thing actually rotates, and I think that is my favorite part about this project. Of course, I'm happy to say that this is the final project in the installment of our makeup and storage containers that we have been making within the past 2 weeks. And what I'll do is I'll leave those links in the description box below so that if you haven't happened upon those videos, you can be sure to go there and find them. Listen, as usual and as always, it has been a pleasure working with each of you. To my Danny's darlings, I thank you for the continued support, encouragement, questions, comments in the comment section below. And if you are not yet a Danny's darling and you have just happened upon this video, I humbly ask you to consider joining our growing community of DIYers as we continue along our way. Not only that, make sure to select the notification button so that you will be aware when other videos are published. Listen, until the next time we shall see each other again, in the meantime, between time, I say to you guys, be well, take care, and God bless. Bye now.